everyone, my name is Mishka and welcome back to my channel. So, I am basically re-recording this video. I had 2 episodes of Our Life Beginnings and Always recorded, and I was getting ready to edit them tonight, and come to find out, you literally could not hear my voice at all. So I'm like literally up in my microphone, so I'm gonna have to get a new one, but I am re-recording this, and hopefully you guys will be able to hear me now. So I'm going to be getting a new microphone and everything, but before we get started, make sure to subscribe button and share this video with your friends so they can find out about my amazing channel just like you have right now. So yeah, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. You are starting to get the feel for the show. All the actors' behaviors were turned up to 11 for the sake of comedy. Sorry. In the heart of the story was clear. The venue's singer and its bartender were in love, but wouldn't admit it due to outside pressure and fear that the other didn't feel the same. A clattering sound brought your attention back to the bartender. He put the glass he had been polishing away. With his hands free, he idly glanced around for his next task. He settled on you and Baxter. His gaze dropped to your necklaces and he gave a professional smile. You were both in the story world. Can I get either you anything? Refills? A new drink? On the house. Consider an apology for all the ruckus. Okay, so if you guys have not been kept up with my Are the Beginnings and Always series, I'm essentially doing Baxter's route. I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I'm doing Baxter's route, and we are at the last moment of step 3 before we move on to the epilogue, which is step 4. That's what we're going to be doing today, is finishing this moment, and then in the next episode we will be starting step 4. Alright, let's get back to it. He leaned over the counter and nodded pointedly at the friend. They blocked their face with their hand and sunk into the booth, trying to escape the stare. One of the guests at their table happened to have a paper fan and held it out to them. They gratefully took it and hid behind it instead. The bartender shook his head, fed up. Baxter, meanwhile, grinned.
Gladly.
That would be delightful. I could use another baby Bellini. Of course, sir. Even while the picture of poise and polite manners, Baxter gave the air of being quite smug over the formal address. The bartender shifted closer to you. You could now smell his spiced cologne. Ooh. And you? Let me think. Not wanting to hold up the show for long, you asked the bartender for let's just have water. Got it. The bartender looked around the shelves of the fake bar, but scratched his head. Oh darn, I'm missing something. I always tell the owner he needs to keep his place better stocked. He grumbled a little more earnest complaints. Not wanting to give up, he thought about his options. The crowd tittered with amusement as the friend peeked out with the flush on their cheeks from the other side of the room. If I'm right, there's some in the back. I'll return with your drink soon. Of course, there's no need to hurry. I appreciate it. Baxter lifted his existing baby Bellini with the drama of a supervillain. You wondered if he was being unaware or trying to put on a good show. The bartender threw his cleaning cloth over his shoulder and brusquely abandoned his station. He disappeared through a curtained door beside the bar. You guessed that the real drink station was through there. You'd noticed the actual waiter bounced from table to table fulfilling orders even during the performance. It made sense to keep the supplies somewhere offstage so that the bar could keep putting out drinks no matter what was happening with the story. And from what I remember about the last episode, me and Baxter, I think we went to a cafe, and he like forgot about it, so as like an apology he took us here, and I think it's like a play of some sort, but it's in a bar theme. So if you would like to get caught up with where we're at now, make sure to go watch that. I'll link it below in the description or up in the card, because that might make more sense, because we are maybe halfway through this moment. I'm not too sure. Without the bartender, you and Baxter had to reorient yourselves as to where the action went. Most of the crowd's eyes were away from the tables. The friend character had scrambled out of the booth and paced along the length of the room. They were still troubled and stopped just short of biting their nails. Just as they clasped their hands together, the singer made her reappearance. Music swelled as she chased out of her dressing room, once more the center of attention. Her presence spellbound the crowd, instantly taking focus. Ah! The friend cautiously crept over to her, stepping around the tables between them. Feeling refreshed? Of course, darling, I'm a professional. Speaking of professionalism, why didn't you say hi to the bartender earlier? He is here, you know. The singer scoffed, echoing the exact same cadence the bartender had before. They were a perfect match of stubbornness. He doesn't like me. He made it very clear. He told his parents as much. He told my parents. She struck a defiant pose, sounding utterly disgusted. Who does that? What a cad. Her friend scratched the back of their head. Their face twisted comedically. Oh my gosh, how do I pronounce that? As they chose their words with care. Didn't you tell his parents that you did not like him when they suggested it? I also recall when your parents accused you of being attached to him, and you denied it, vehemently, with him in the room. The singer huffed, but didn't deny the events. She and the bartender's relationship was messy. And isn't it true that you do like our illustrious bartender? If your foolish parents hadn't meddled, you would be all over each other by now. Ha! The singer let out a deliberate, prideful laugh. It was dark and barely concealing very real hurt. Do not even pretend. He doesn't care for me and I don't care for him. She cast her gaze over the pockets of attendees gathered around her and spread her arms wide. I bet everyone in this room heard him bad-mouthing me as soon as I left, didn't you? See, I don't remember any of this. We're just gonna say he said he didn't like you. The singer snapped her fingers and pointed them at you. That's exactly right. Someone here has eyes and ears. The audience laughed and more conversation bubbled up from the amused guests. When the room finally settled and the singer had passed along a few more barbs about the bartender, the friend slung an arm around her. Can't you please hear me out? The singer groaned and shrugged out of her friend's embrace. She backed up with a frown. I need a drink. She spun to face the bar before thinking better of it. Apparently she didn't need a drink that badly. Not here, of course. I have standards. The sole of her shoe tapped on the floor. She needed action to deal with all that restless energy. I believe this counts as an emergency. Please hold. I need to fetch my crisis bottle from my purse. What? She stuck her nose high in the air and swaned off to her dressing room once more. Her friend stood alone in the center of the room. The decrescendo of the music made the room quiet. In the distance, a door slammed. The diva reached her room. Her abandoned friend visibly winced at the anger of the noise. They closed their eyes and mentally counted to 10. Slowly, their stance unwound as they forced themselves to relax. They glanced furtively to the left and then to the right. Okay. The last actor left spoke to the entire room, projecting their voice loudly. While they're gone, does anyone have any ideas to get those two to admit their actual feelings? It has been weeks of me putting up with their arguments. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm plumb out of ideas. People began to shout things or whisper amongst groups. The friend listened attentively, as if one suggestion might hold the key of their very survival. Not all of the ideas were positive or even workable plans. Just give up. I'm too stubborn for that. They aren't getting out of this that easily. Lock them in the back room together until they confess. I tried that last week. My friend knows how to pick the lock. Try making the bartender jealous. Set her up with someone else. I'll do it. Wait. Aha! The friends spied a vase full of flowers on a table near the back. They scrambled to collect them into a bouquet. These should work. The flowers can be given to our singer in celebration to her performance. If she thinks they're from the bartender, maybe. This new electric smile on their face contrasted their previous expression. For a moment, though, they faltered. But I can't give these to her. She'll know immediately that they weren't from the bartender. Would anyone else be willing to help out? I know those two aren't giving the best impression, but when they aren't trying to prove each other wrong, they're very cute together. They searched the crowd, brow furrowed. Please? I'll do it. Your voice rang through the room and someone started clapping. It was Baxter. Thank you. They bounded towards you and placed the bouquet in your hands. Their sincere gratitude caught you by surprise. You are a hero, I swear. Anyway, here's the plan. Although their tone was hushed as you'd be when sharing a secret, their pitch carried throughout the space. They were a talented actor, especially without any microphone to aid them. I'll go get her. You need to call her over and pretend the bartender got these flowers for her, but was too shy to hand them over directly. Count on me. The friend gave a thumbs up and scampered off to where the singer had left. Baxter inspected the flowers held in your hands. He approved of the bouquet. It would make for a nice gift, circumstances aside. A familiar smirk appeared on his lips. He delicately stroked a petal with the back of a knuckle. His voice was low and in your ear.
You know.
This is unlikely to work, but I do admire the friend's effort. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. It was an admittedly silly plan, and there was no way that the singer would abandon her convictions for a few flowers. Maybe she surprised you, but even then, there was no contingency for the bartender. However, I do look forward to the results. I'm expecting a great deal of entertainment. The door to the singer's dressing room swung open, and the friend pulled the singer back into the main room. Their arms were locked together, but the singer was dragging her very tall high heels all the way. In one manicure hand was a tiny bottle, and no doubt the aforementioned emergency alcohol. It was already half gone. It's not good to stay holed up by yourself all the time. You do not need to hide from everyone. I'm not hiding, I'm simply very busy. Since they weren't a fool like the parents, the friend didn't buy that at all. Once the friend reached the center of the room, they released the singer. She rolled her shoulder back, still affronted by the rough treatment. Showtime. Hey, excuse me, I need to give you something. The singer snapped her head towards the bar and narrowed her focus down on you. Her dress swished as she approached. You held up the bouquet. Her suspicious acknowledgement gave you pause. Where did these come from? From me to you, the bartender. What if we said that? No, we're not gonna ruin it. Miss Starlet gasped and pressed both hands to her chest. She squinted hard at the flowers as if it was a nest of snakes. She unscrewed the cap of her small bottle and tipped it between her pursed lips. She chugged the remaining liquid down. I need a little water break, guys. Alright. That got a huge laugh from the audience. She slammed her empty bottle down on the bar's counter and gasped for air with a frightening glare. What? But gently and slowly, ever so slowly, she reached out. Her fingertips touched a single flower stem. She paused, then finished the movement and wrapped her digits around it. You stayed immobilized, as if she were a butterfly and any movement would send her fluttering off. Without warning, there came a shout from the far end of the bar. Got your drinks right here. Oh no. Every head turned to see the bartender making his reappearance, a tray of drinks balanced on his right arm. Sorry for the wait, just had to. He froze mid-sentence, staring at the scene he'd returned to witness. The singer standing next to you being offered a bouquet, a single flower clutched in her hand. It was deathly quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Even the band had stopped playing. Until... Ah! Suddenly, the singer let out a mortified shriek. She flung the offered flower and bolted, beating a frantic, desperate escape. What? She careened around the corner and then... Slam! The deafening sound of a door being rammed shut. Another awful silence formed. Having remained frozen when the singer fled, the bartender's attention returned to where you and Baxter were at the bar. His eyes were drilling holes into you, his glare darting between your face and the remains of the bouquet still in your grip. He caught you red-handed, literally on account of the roses. It was unspeakably awkward. Even though your brain was screaming, "It's not real," you couldn't help but be swept up in the overwhelming sense of unease filling the room. Slowly, the bartender marched over to the counter, his footsteps weighty and full of intent. He firmly set down the tray of drinks. The glasses rattled angrily, but not a drop was spilled. Then he cocked his hip and folded his muscular arms, striking a pose which felt almost threatening and bristled with suspicion. "Well now, I see how it is." He flicked a finger up and down, sizing you up with it. "So this lemon-headed chump is who I'm losing to? Really? Oh my gosh! We're not lemon-headed." The rather silly epithet got a fair number of titters from the audience, but the bartender wasn't laughing. He made a bitter sound at the back of his throat and shook his head. He muttered angrily under his breath, "I should have known." Wait. A cry came from the other side of the room. The mutual friend, face distraught, was bustling their way over, limbs flapping with panic. "I can explain, it's all a misunderstanding. What I'm trying to say is..." Stumbling over their own words, the friend attempted to lay out the situation. The flowers were all part of a plan to get the singer to admit her own feelings. As the friend nervously rambled, you found yourself practically throwing the bouquet down on the counter in front of you like it was a hot potato, pulling your arms up in a non-threatening gesture. At first, you weren't convinced it would work. The bartender's expression was thunderous as a summer rain cloud. His brows were set at a 90-degree angle, stern as steel. Wow. But as some of the other patrons began to chime in words of confirmation, his dark countenance began to clear. A number of emotions melted into each other on his face. Anger became confusion, confusion became understanding, and understanding became acceptance. He let out a long, tired sigh and unfolded his arms. Okay, hear ya. You were only trying to help. I'm sorry." He directed this apology at you. "I shouldn't have gotten angry. There's nothing wrong with your hair. Don't worry. I saw you holding those flowers and lost my cool." He chuckled bleakly. "That's all me. I'm the problem here." At this, he hung his head and slouched where he stood. "I can't believe she'd run away like that, screaming as if she'd seen a ghost, like I was the worst thing in the world. Is it really that awful being around me? Am I really that bad?" His voice was thick with emotion, pain behind every word. There was barely a dry eye in the whole building. A chorus of sympathy rose up from the people around you, sounds of comfort and encouragement in equal measure. The tender walked behind his bar and came to rest his palms flat on the counter, his thick arms spread wide. "I wish I knew what to do, if only there was something, anything." It was a frank admission, laden heavy with resignation. He bowed his head again and was silent. There was a poignant pause. Into it, you heard Baxter gently clear his throat.
"Honestly,
If you'll permit me to say, it can be hard to know what to do in these kinds of situations, but the important thing is that it's making you unhappy. Once you realize that, it should at least be obvious what not to continue doing. Dancing around your feelings like this will only lead further and further from doing what you want, so why stick to the same old tune?" The bartender gradually lifted his face, to peer up at Baxter with an inscrutable expression. "If you like the charming singer, then what could you ever have to gain by insisting otherwise? You don't need to propose or anything equally drastic, but why push her away when all you want is to get closer?" His voice gained a faint lidding cadence, almost like he was a singer too, but it tapered away to nothing. On the countertop, you saw the bartender clench a fist. "You got me pegged. You and everyone else in the joint. So I like her already. What good is that? She thinks I'm a joke. She wouldn't be seen dead with someone like me. We all know that too. You just saw what happened. Am I supposed to make myself look like an idiot? Waltz on over and tell her we should be pals? I'd be straight up begging to be laughed at. I couldn't take it. Not from her. It's always hard to put yourself out there, but isn't it better than the alternative? One hand came to scratch up the nape of his neck in a universal gesture of awkwardness. I guess you had a point there.
I get it.
I understand the concern. You needn't go any further than you're able. The key is that you step forward in the first place, or at least resist the urge to continue moving backwards. When the time comes, don't pull away. You'll only regret it later. The bartender rested one arm across the counter, easing into a stance that was more casual. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully. His body language was loosening up. You gathered that he was mulling over what had been said, taking it all in. After a short while, he cracked a cautious grin. You know, it's usually other people who want me to listen to their problems, and by listening, I mean I just help them pick a poison. You know, blunt the edges when nothing else can. Never thought I'd be on the receiving end, though. He rapped a knuckle on the countertop and straightened up suddenly. Ah, shoot, I forgot the ice with your drinks. I'm being real sloppy tonight, letting personal stuff get in the way of business. Sorry about that. He began to walk towards the heavy curtain, his black shoes echoing loudly on the floor. Let me go take care of that, and maybe cool myself off for a sec while I'm at it. Yep. With a click of his heels and a swish of the curtain, he was gone. Now what became the unspoken consensus of the audience. An answer came shortly. Psst. It was in the form of a loud hiss from the other side of the room, from behind the counter where the singer had vanished. Your focus swung back to see the lady in question poking her head out, shy as a dormouse. She cupped her fingers around her mouth, keeping to a stage whisper. Is he gone? Various dissenting voices chimed in. Baxter flashed her a quick thumbs up. Seeing that the coast was clear, the singer's head vanished for a brief instant before reappearing, the rest of her following along with it. She swung her way into the main area, oozing feigned confidence. All the terror of her departure had gone, hastily paced over as though nothing had happened. She brought a hand up to shade her eyes, casting a look around the room. Her immaculately lipstick lips parted. Has my dear, delightful, meddlesome friend decided to finally beat it too? Not yet. The friend's voice called out from somewhere behind you. While everyone's attention had been elsewhere, they had managed to collect the discarded bouquet. In her other hand was the lone flower the singer herself had pitched. They held it out to her. I'm sorry about the flowers. I lied. They weren't from him. They never were to begin with. The singer clapped over her mouth in shock. What? You tricked me. Her cry projected clear as a bell, ringing with hurt and betrayal. Her pristine face was crumpled in a furious scowl, directed first at the front and then everyone else in the room. And you were all in on it. Sorry guys, I keep having to take a break. The friend darted to her side in an effort to placate, babbling apologies over and over with a mollifying tone. I know, I'm a terrible friend and I shouldn't have done it. Finally, something we can agree on. Fine, I deserve that, but just hear me out, okay? Even though they weren't from him, there's nothing stopping you from flipping this on its head. I'm not sure I like where this is going. I'm a singer, not an acrobat. It's easy. When he comes back, why don't you give the flowers to him? The singer stared blankly for a few seconds, then tossed her head back and bellowed with laughter. Her once lyrical voice was now cold and callous in timbre. Oh, my darling friend, you should really consider joining the circus. I have never heard of something so ludicrous. This is serious. I just know it'll work, believe me. I'll be rooting for you, and not only me, you all think so too, right, gang? At their prompting, the room was filled with shouts of agreement. Yeah. We'll be right behind you. It's okay, don't be afraid. What have you got to lose? The comments came bright and fast. More people pitched in with remarks about what had happened while the singer was gone. Others simply nodded along. Though she'd readily dismissed her friend's suggestion, the audience reaction seemed to be more convincing. She stood in the middle. What the heck is that noise? Oh, it's an airplane. She stood in the middle of the flurry of sound, head cocked, listening intently. I'm sorry, guys. At that very moment, there was a shuffling from behind the curtained entrance. The fabric parted to reveal the bartender carrying a palm-sized metal bowl piled high with ice. For the second time this evening, everyone froze in place. The singer slowly rotated on her heels to face him. His eyes were wide with surprise. Okay, here we go. Suddenly she stumbled forward. The mutual friend had given her a nudge, knocking her off balance and toward the bartender. She wheeled around to glare at them before snatching the single flower her friend still held and about facing once more. She laughed a thin, nervous laugh and took one small step closer. A wide expanse separated them. Her footfalls echoed. 1 step, 2 steps, then she halted, too afraid to continue. She wavered on the brink of turning back. All at once, the crowd made good on their promise. Hollers of encouragement came from the booths behind her, whoops and cheers and whistles of "Don't give up now." "Come on, girl, I believe in you." Once again, the singer crept across the room as though expecting to be attacked at any moment. The bartender was a statue, watching motionless. Inch by inch, the distance closed. When only a few feet remained to separate them, the singer paused. She cast an anxious look from her target to where you and Baxter were sitting. At your side, Baxter smiled and inclined his head in a nod. You followed suit, giving her a thumbs up. Nearly there. With the poise and slowness of a puppet yanked on strings, she extended her arm. The flower gleamed in the dim light of the bar, a flush of red hanging in the air between them. The bloom was fragile, frail, and vulnerable, like a naked, helpless heart offered up in prayer. Everyone in the room held their breath. The two held each other's gazes, neither speaking a word. He knew and she knew. This time, it was real. The bartender silently placed the bowl of ice down on the bar, a moment of choice, a crossroads. Then he walked over and stretched his fingers out. He caressed the petals of the single rose, light as a feather, and then he placed his fingers over her and gently lifted the flower free. He had accepted. Aww. The response was immediate. The space exploded with applause, cries of delight coming from all and sundry. The friend jumped up and down on the spot, suppressing a squeal. High fives were exchanged. There was wolf whistles and roars of approval. Baxter and you shared a look of silent satisfaction. Amid the jubilation, the bartender returned to the counter to retrieve the bowl of ice. Maybe it was a metaphor? The winter cold swap for the first blooms of spring. He hastened over to you and dropped a handful of cold, possibly metaphors in yours and Baxter's glasses. He parted again with a wink. After that first climactic moment, the remainder of the story barreled ahead. No sooner had the lovers begun to open up to one another than further complications reared their heads. First came the parents, who had always claimed the two were fated. They were keen to seal the match and win the satisfaction of lording it over everyone. Nobody could bear the thought of granting them the satisfaction, and so the elaborate schemes to keep the two families out of the loop. So began the schemes, okay. And then tragedy devolved into farce. At every step, the audience had a part to play. One scene saw a group of patrons acting as a diversion, keeping one of the parents occupied while the lovers made their escape. In another, you and Baxter were recruited to slide secret notes along the bar while nobody was looking. Even the band got to help, swapping one song in the program for another without warning. The singer's defiant aria transmuted into one of passionate, heartfelt longing. It was a flurry, the characters coming and going with a chaotic energy you normally could only see at a distance on a stage. And all through the carefully coordinated mayhem, the actual waiter diligently continued to cater to the patrons, serving more drinks, clearing tables, and lighting candles. He ducked and weaved between chairs and bar stools and the other characters, sometimes even participating in the action, but normally fading into the background. At one point, the singer and he almost collided and would have sent a particularly hefty tray flying. But it was all part of the performance, and they both expertly caught the glasses before they fell, to the loud approbation from the audience. The journey was precarious, full of twists and turns, but with everyone's help, the protagonists were finally able to face their feelings for each other. Aww! Hardly anyone could have resisted getting caught up in it. When the confession came at last, a deafening cheer went up. The two shared a kiss, and the room was plunged into darkness. The band struck up a lively tune, and when the lights came back on, all the actors took their bows to well-earned applause that seemed to last for hours. Finally, the floor cleared, the lamps dimmed to their usual twilight. It was finished. Love had triumphed, at least for one night. With that show over, things wound down for the evening. There were no more performances booked, although it was still a good while until closing. People could enjoy the room as a normal bar. The band continued to play, and patrons milled about with their drinks. Some people were animatedly discussing the performance you'd just seen. The atmosphere was convivial. Baxter let out a contented sigh and fiddled absent-mindedly with his second baby Bellini. He'd barely touched it since it arrived. Seeing that you were aimlessly looking around, he caught your eye with a tilt of the head and a quirk of his brow.
What do you think?
Now then, was the show to your liking? I'm all ears, and you can be honest, it can be a lot to take in. I thought it was really, really good. Yeah, are you kidding? It was so fun. I'm glad to hear that. They put a lot of effort into their craft. The dedication to entertainment is commendable. You might be interested to know the shows aren't always like this. They have quite a wide selection of different genres. The murder mystery ones are always popular, but I wasn't sure how you'd feel about an interactive performance with a capacity for violence. Those can get rather intense, to say the least. Yeah, I mean... Okay, guys, like for me, I enjoy murder mysteries, but if it was something where I was seeing it in real life, I don't know. I don't know. Even the play we just saw is rarely performed the same way twice. As far as I've heard, they often chop and change the premise, shuffling the characters and events around as needed. You recall the ever-suffering friend desperate to help the fated couple find love? Well, some nights it is they who charms the heart of the singer or the bartender. In that situation, the third party is instead refusing their help out of kindness, not wanting to get in the way of their own possible romance. Sometimes the characters' families detest one another, Romeo and Juliet style. On those nights, the singer and the bartender dislike each other too, but pretend to fall in love in order to spite their own parents, and then of course it happens for real. And then on rare occasions, they simply play hard to get, faking a quarrel for no reason other than to frustrate their would-be matchmakers and laugh at them with the guests in private. So you see, there's enormous potential for telling a whole host of different stories, but usually the core is the same idea. The two characters, for whatever reason, are always talking past each other, always failing to communicate, and it's up to the audience to lend a hand. I think it's a fascinating concept personally, a very novel form of entertainment. Yeah, I do like how the audience is played into how it was played into the play. You listened attentively to Baxter's explanation. Regardless of what you thought of the performance, it was nice to hear him passionate about something. He spun from side to side on his bar stool, a dry smirk on his face. I suppose I find the fundamental concept rather amusing too. It's so obvious from the outside the way the characters let their pride become an obstacle to their own happiness. As I said before, if they want each other so desperately, what point is there in saying the opposite? It's plainly not right. Not to yourself and the one you care for, and so unpalatable that it compels us in the supporting cast to action. Just right for interactive theater, I suppose. Everyone has their own struggles. That's fair enough. Perhaps it's a bit too judgmental to bring some kind of moral framework to the issue. Individual complexities need to be taken into account. Eventually, a little voice in the back of your head prompted you to speak again. Thanks for tonight, for bringing me along. It was a nice date. It honestly surprised me that Baxter had been able to get seats at such short notice. It seemed like the place was pretty popular and the performance you'd watch had been a full house. Unable to hide your curiosity, you put the question to the man himself. Where exactly did you get the tickets for this? Instantly, Baxter's face tense, his easygoing smile losing some of its effortlessness and tucking down at the corners. That, of course. He crossed his arms in a way that struck you as mildly defensive. Maybe you remember the friends of my parents, the ones I visited recently? Well, it just so happens that they're in the performance business, theater, ballet, musicals, all kinds of productions. They specialize in large-scale events of that nature. This venue isn't one of theirs, but they were able to pull some strings on my behalf. It's a question of knowing the right people who know the right people. We could have even had full backstage access with the main cast if I'd asked. As it was, we were singled out for some special attention during the show on account of being seated at the bar. I'll have to remember to thank them for that. I'm sure they'd be pleased to know that our date went well too. You couldn't help it. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't figured that Baxter would have that kind of pull. Seeing your response, Baxter's features chilled further, his brows knitting together. He shrugged his shoulders in a sigh.
Truthfully,
I do try not to lean on that kind of thing too much, if you can believe me. I appreciate it might not look like it now. You could say it's a means for me to preserve my sense of independence. It's easy to be popular if you can foot the bill, and I don't want that to be what draws others to me. But after all that, here I am, leaning on the same old crutch. Nothing has changed since I was 6. How quaint, how wonderful, how truly excellent. As he rambled on, Baxter was speaking more and more inwardly, his tone increasingly acrid. Is this really any better than yesterday? What have I achieved? You could only sit and listen as the brief tirade continued. Had Baxter been sitting on this ever since the coffee shop? Okay, so I was right. It was true. He hadn't come across as satisfied by reassurances, only by a second chance. But if you had known it'd only make him feel worse, you wouldn't have let it get this far. Baxter managed to snap out of his train of thought, his attention returning to you. He looked rather sheepish.
Forgive me.
I'm sorry, Brittany. Perhaps it would be best to call it a night. I wouldn't want to sour the evening after such a charming showing. He swiftly rose from his bar stool, mind made up. You didn't stop him. Attempting the conversation in a public place wasn't a wise plan. Instead, you hurried to follow. Crossing the floor towards the exit, you passed the bartender and a few other cast members. You quickly expressed your appreciation to them and got cheery waves and thanks in return. Sounds and colors became a blur, and before long you had stepped out into the street. Baxter was already a few paces down the block, heading for his car, but he stopped for you to catch up. You exchanged a few pleasantries on the journey home, but nothing too involved. Baxter was making an effort to keep the conversation light, just as he'd promised. He really didn't want to leave a bad impression, that much was clear. You used the time and the space between sentences to mull things over. There was something that needed to be done, but you couldn't figure out what you could say. In your imagined scenarios, it would all end the same way, with him appreciating the sentiment while not believing. It was hard to think clearly. Your head was full of the smell of fake cocktails and snatches of remembered music, like the show in your life blending together in the shake of a mixer. You sank down into the soft leather of the car seat and let the images wash over you in waves. The stars were winking playfully overhead as you arrived back in your own neighborhood, and the moon was a yellow lantern floating up high. You stepped out of Baxter's car and a sea breeze danced across your cheeks. After the summer heat of the daytime, it was cool and refreshing, like the first sharp sip of an iced drink. Baxter escorted you to the front door. He was, as ever, determined to be a gentleman. The deliberateness of it gave you pause in a way that it hadn't until now. He lifted the corners of his mouth and his eyes wrinkled, a perfectly arranged smile.
Good night.
Good night, Brittany. I had a wonderful time. The manner he said it made it sound less like he was expressing his feelings and more like he was stating a want, as if he was determined that it should be true. Ever since his dip in mood at the end of the event, your mind had been filled with thoughts that you couldn't grasp hold of. Those questions pressed against you insistently. Why was he still beating himself up over what happened yesterday? Why did he seem so unlike himself before you left the bar? What was going on in that head of his right now? Having bid you farewell, Baxter moved to leave. There was a priority in making himself scarce. In his eyes there was something like tiredness, something like fear. The prospect of some other sudden indignity rearing its head was too much for him to bear. He lost the chance to save face entirely in front of you by now. Best to cut things off at the roots. To see him like that tugged at your chest, you couldn't accept him going back to the empty house to wallow in frustration, but what could you do? Your mouth opened without anything to fill it, but the words somehow came out anyway. Would you want to come inside? Oh my gosh. Things couldn't end here, that much was certain. What you needed was more time. Baxter paused, having turned to go. The far side of him was in shadow. As he slowly swiveled back to you and the light caught his face once more, his expression was conflicted. It held surprise, confusion, and no small amount of intrigue. His lips parted as if to speak, but his brow furrowed and he closed his mouth again without a sound. He evidently had no idea where the present moment was leading. Neither did you. Oh my god. Baxter settled for a simple tilt of the head, his eyes posing a question. Well, no worries if not. I know it's getting late, but how about you come in and have a drink? It's been such a good night. I don't want it to be over so soon. Despite playing it off as nothing serious, you were silently willing Baxter not to go, just a little longer. Hearing your elaboration, Baxter couldn't help but be amused. He recovered from his initial trepidation enough to laugh at your desperate plan. A drink, you say? A fascinating suggestion. How decidedly original of you. One eyebrow was raised, his voice dripping with irony. You quietly chuckled in kind, happy that he'd play along with the absurdity of the suggestion. Baxter's features relaxed into a look of fond regard as his eyes searched your face for a moment. One hand was tucked casually into his back pocket. Though some of the tension appeared to be gone, his stance was still one of indecision, contemplation. For some reason, your imagination conjured up a vision of him at a woodland crossroads, standing just as he was now, carefully weighing which way to go. At this point, you felt as though you could guess the thought process he was going through, even if he wasn't saying it out loud. For Baxter, it was all a question of the eventual outcome. When everything was over and he looked back on this moment, how would he best like to remember it? Should he end things here and avoid any further mishaps, or should the night continue with the accompanying risks of additional regrets? Baxter didn't only aim to make the most of his time by doing what he liked, but meticulously crafting the experiences and the emotions he would have. You sighed inwardly, recalling simpler times, if only it were another case of which frozen dessert to pick from an ice cream truck. At length his mind was made up. Baxter cleared his throat and straightened his stance, facing you square on.
That's sweet.
Thank you for the offer, Brittany. It's very kind of you to be so generous with your time. I should like to take up that suggestion if it's no inconvenience. A drink would be lovely. A rush of relief hit. Thank goodness, you still had a chance to turn things around. He likely had a similar thought, though your ideas on what would achieve that were certainly different. Flashing a cheerful smile, you unlocked your front door and led the way inside. Baxter dutifully followed, pausing only to wipe his shoes on the doormat, just as Ma would want. All the lights were on in the living room, and there was a brief flash of panic at the prospect that you lured Baxter into a run-in with your family at the worst possible time. As luck would have it, when you poked your head around the doorway, the room was empty. You couldn't hear any movement. You were alone for now. So you gestured for Baxter to sit down and make himself comfortable. He graciously accepted the invitation. Rather than crash on the couch, he sauntered over to the table and pulled up a chair, prim and proper to the last. Having got this far, you willed the hostly components of your brain into motion. After seeing a professional like the bartender at work, you had some standards to live up to. First things first, the technical reason for why you had invited him. What do you want to drink? We have juice, milk, other things. Just water, please. I don't have the appetite for much else right now. Yeah. His reply came without hesitation, but it lacked the usual degree of confidence you'd come to expect from him. The sound of it spoke volumes. While nobody could go so far as to call him fragile, there was no denying that Baxter was a long way from his usual bold self. Okay, water it is. You reach for a pair of glasses, deciding to stick with water yourself to keep things simple. After pouring some chilled water from the fridge, you brought the drinks over to the table and sat down across from Baxter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Baxter sipped his water quietly and then placed it back in front of him. It struck you fully how bizarre the situation would appear to anyone who happened to be watching. Two people sitting at a dining room table, dressed to the nines, gingerly sampling glasses of plain water. You mentally whispered an apology to the tender of the jazz bar. You were a little ashamed at your feeble imitation of his skills. It was a good thing your moms weren't around to see this either. They'd never let you live it down, not in a million years. But that was all beside the point. You knew, and Baxter knew, that the pretext of coming over for a drink was simply that, a thinly veiled excuse. Only a very particular kind of emergency would necessitate visiting a neighbor's house for nothing more than a glass of water, and yet in a way it had been an emergency, a relationship emergency. You sincerely hoped that this brief borrowed moment would give you both a chance to clear the air and reach some kind of mutual understanding. Baxter reached down to fiddle with the tumbler of water before him, though without lifting it to his lips again. He stared down into it searchingly. After a while he spoke.
I deeply apologize.
I feel like I must sound like a broken record at this point, but it's exceedingly considerate of you to extend your hospitality this far. I'm grateful. His gaze didn't lift, but one corner of his mouth did. It looked as though it took some effort. He maintained it just long enough to be sure you'd seen, and then dropped it like a heavy weight. He quietly sighed once, as though to catch his breath. He continued.
To be honest,
I must confess, however, if it were up to me, none of this would be happening. Well, obviously. I find myself regretting my actions up to this point. Things would have been for the better if I had not said anything after the show, or if you hadn't treated them as if they mattered. It was a brief moment of frustration. It's caused so much trouble. An evening ruined by nothing, and for nothing. And this was already my second go at inviting you up for an occasion. We don't need to retread what happened the first time. He tossed his head to one side and made a bitter sound with his tongue. I should be better than this. It irks me so much to make the same mistakes over and over. His voice trembled with frustration. His eyes dark and downcast. He dropped to a forceful whisper, repeating the words as if to convince himself of them, as if to nail them to his chest. I was better than this, wasn't I? Why? Hold on. Why do you feel like you have to be, You're acting like the characters in the show, you know. What? No, he's not. I don't need you to do that. I think you're wonderful. Baxter finally lifted his eyes to meet yours. They were narrow, their intention unreadable. The cruel curve to his mouth spoke for itself, however. With a jolt, you realized it was a look of poorly disguised mockery, and still you could tell that it wasn't meant for you. When that cutting smile opened and the words came, pointed and pained and sharp, it was all aimed inward at himself. This whole situation, it's a sinning. I haven't known you long enough to be causing this kind of trouble. I'm quite literally a stranger, and I won't even be here long enough for that to change. As welcoming as you all are here, that can't be forgotten.
I swear.
I was only ever supposed to be part of the fun, a worthwhile piece of summer scenery, someone who added to the experience, not held it back. You shouldn't have to baby me, to sit there and spend your time making me feel better when I don't keep it together. His hands were clenched on the table, the knuckles of a shock of white. The mess I am in the mornings, the drama I cause in the evenings, the person I am when the show's over. Those aspects shouldn't be any of your concern. I don't provide that support to you, do I? And how could I when I don't know you? No, it's not fair to make you worried or worse, guilty over what happens to me. What matters is that when we're together, it's for the pleasant parts of existence. The less ideal shades of life can be managed separately. He slumped a little in his chair, the power having gone out of his voice. That's all I wanted. The blow was still pounding in your ears. Witnessing Baxter like this, as you'd never seen him before, was equal parts exhilarating and shocking. His inner conflict now an exposed wire. How many times had you sat across from him these past few days? And how was it that only now did it feel like you were truly seeing the person in the chair opposite? You took a moment to process your thoughts, steady your breathing. Here at last was the crux of the matter. It was clear that when Baxter came to Sunset Bird, he had set himself a series of rules. Rules about how much to involve himself, how much of an impact to make. Like the tourist concept of leave only footprints behind, but taken to the extreme. There wasn't space for him to be complicated, to have negative emotions, to show different sides of himself to anyone. To do so would be a dereliction of duty. You weren't going to criticize him wanting his privacy. It was important to him and you respected that. But this kind of framing, one where he had an obligation to minimize himself for others' benefits, it was only causing pain. In spite of what he felt was right, you cared too much about him by now to let him carry on like this. Cautiously, you opened your mouth. You have been there for me, I can do that for you too. You spoke earnestly and with as much composure as you could manage. Right now, more than anything else, Baxter needed to know how wrong he was. He wasn't a burden and his feelings didn't hurt you. You tried your best to communicate this to him. And then another thought made itself known to you, one that ached under your ribs. You couldn't help but give it voice. We finally meet again after all these years. You haven't been nobody to me for a long time. You said your piece and went silent. The house lay still and the windows were empty portals black with night. The only sound was that of both your breathing. Baxter's eyes had been locked with yours during this speech, the last heat of his frustration smoldering with them. Now in the quiet, you finally felt the embers fade completely. His gaze slowly slid to one side and then down he swallowed. The sound drifted to you across the table, small and hushed. A sigh. Thank you. It was said simply, with no pretense or caveats. Baxter had given up the fight with himself for now and accepted what you had told him. You let your body unclench as you watched the creases in Baxter's brow begin to disappear. Oh my god, my cat's asleep. Guys, I went shopping earlier today, and I have a new comforter. My cat is asleep on it right now, and she's so cute. Alright, back to the story. Sorry. A hand emerged from beneath the table to lift his glass, and he sipped his water, eyes closed. You took this as your cue that the discussion had run its course. There was no guarantee that things would change going forward, but you weren't so arrogant as to think that Baxter's behavior would be altered all at once. Nothing drastic anyway. He'd listened to your feelings, but who could really say how it would impact what happened in the future? The past couple of days had held a mirror up to Baxter, showing him a reflection that wounded him, cutting too close to the bone. There were hurts there that ran deeper than he'd let you reach. It didn't mean that he mistrusted you. It may not have been a matter of trust to begin with. But you hoped that with time, Baxter might be able to come to the count on the fact that there was at least one person out there who would accept him. You wanted to give him that. Another souvenir to remember you by. The minutes passed, and sip by sip, the two of you drank your way toward the bottoms of your water glasses. The silence couldn't be called effortlessly comfortable, but it wasn't awkward. Companionable, perhaps? Baxter sucked in the last drops from his cup and then moved to stand unhurried. Thank you again. That was refreshing, both the water and the conversation. Still, I should be going. He was matter of fact with an air of calm finality. You weren't able to disagree. You nodded and rose in parallel, moving to take the glasses back over to the kitchen. You'd managed what you had set out to achieve. It was alright to let things end here for the time being. The night had spun around your way, and hopefully Baxter could see it as a positive when he reflected on it. You walked with him across the living room to the front door with his back to you. You heard him begin to say something.
I appreciate the understanding.
I appreciate you taking the time to discuss this with me, for listening in spite of, well... He gestured to himself, the meaning clear. Before you could tell him not to mention it, he reached his front door and came to face you. There was a mischievous grin on his face. You welcomed it like an old friend. But now, since the final act is over, how would we rate this event? I sincerely hope it was acceptable on the whole. The question had a laugh to it, and underneath there was the faintest hint of that self-mockery from before. But now it was toothless, empty of malice, and entirely in good humor. You couldn't help but snicker under your breath full of affection. Oh, Baxter, how quickly he recovered from his footing. A solid performance as always. I am glad we did this, all of it. Thank you for a great evening out and for coming over afterwards.
My pleasure.
Don't mention it. The pleasure was all mine. Good night, Brittany. You reached out and squeezed his hand gently. There was a moment of pause before Baxter looked down and squeezed yours in return. He pulled up and suddenly thought he was about to kiss it. Instead, he stroked a thumb twice across your knuckles, still cool from the glass of water, and hummed a wordless noise of contentment. It was a comforting gesture full of fond feeling. You stood like that for a while, not speaking. Kiss. Kiss, please. Baxter liked you, even if he didn't want you to know him, you were sure of that much. No! Oh my gosh. Then he made good on his promise to depart. Baxter stepped out into the dark night. The door shut behind him, and the long day came to a close along with it. When he was gone, you remained in the entryway a while lost in thought. You would see him again. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps not. He might have plans, but there would be a next time. You saw your face reflected in the dark glass window by the door, and found yourself wondering which Baxter you would meet when the day came. Whoever he was, whenever it was, you'd be there. Oh my gosh! Guys, oh my, I'm like stunned. Wow. Wait, that was such a good oh my gosh, that was a really good moment. I did enjoy that a lot. So, wow. Oh, so we have, this is Coves. So we did complete all the moments for Baxter. So yeah, sorry guys, my voice is like dying right now. I don't know what is wrong. I'm gonna go have some water. But I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of Our Life Beginnings and Always. Next episode, we are going to be starting step 4. I think there's a lot that involves our family, Cove, our friends. I think there's a lot involved with that. So I think I'm just going to include what Baxter is in for that. And then what happens, I guess, at the end of like the in-between moment. But we are going to be starting step 4 next episode along with the end of step 3. So if you guys would like to see that, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends. Oh wait, I already said the beginning. I already said that at the beginning of the video. So yeah, just subscribe, like, comment, anything. It helps my channel. If you would like to see me play other games, I'm open to suggestions. I'm looking to start playing another game soon because I just ended Cinderella Phenomenon. Though I did want to play the second game of Cinderella Phenomenon, so I probably will just do that. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.